Hello Win.gg viewers, I'm Nick and I'm one of the writers for the site. Today we're going to be discussing Arcane, the hit animated adaptation of League of Legends on Netflix that was released this November after the World Championships. We've got some theories about champions and characters who might be showing up in Season 2, as well as some hints that were laid in Season 1 that might reveal some things about champions we know. Before we get into all of that, I'm reminding you to like the video and subscribe to Win.gg for more upcoming League of Legends content. The first theory that we're going to be discussing for a character or champion that might be appearing in Arcane Season 2 is a pretty obvious one, and they've actually already appeared, but it's in loose references and then one very quick shot. And that is Vander being Warwick. Now, this has been basically confirmed due to contextual clues both in Warwick's bios and his interactions in-game, but we'll quickly recap. Warwick was once a violent man who hung up his blade in order to live a peaceful life. He eventually falls into the mad scientist Singed's hands, who transforms him into the beast Warwick in order to show him the beast inside of a good man. This lines up pretty closely with where we meet Vander in Arcane. He is an ex-Zaunite revolutionary who's hung up his cast iron gauntlets in order to preserve peace between Piltover and Zaun and protect his adoptive children. Now, when the last time we see Vander alive, or specifically see him alive, is at the end of episode 3 in the warehouse sequence, where he lies dying and mutilated on the ground after consuming Shimmer to save Vi. It seems like Vander might be dead, but this is really just Riot throwing in a red herring. Singed is Warwick's creator per Warwick's bio, and he's also inside the warehouse when the fires go off, so should he come out of the burning warehouse, he'll be the one to discover Vander's mutilated corpse, and, well, we know where it leads from there. In addition to that, there's specific use of language to tie Vander to canines. He's referred to as the Hound of the Undercity, and then Silco calls him a lapdog for associating with Piltover. In addition, there's some interactions in-game where if Warwick taunts a Vi, he'll ask her who taught her to punch. He'll also tell her Zaun needed you. Should he meet Jinx, he will say you were there. And all of this makes sense. The final clue is that the one memory that Warwick holds onto is blood and hearing a girl screaming a name. This is Jinx at the end of episode 3 yelling the name Violet as Vander slowly loses consciousness. Now, we also see Vander as Warwick in episode 9 at the very end in the What Could Have Been sequence. We see Singed in his lab holding a locket with a picture of a young girl, and then a strange figure with Chemtech tube hanging out of it from the ceiling. That figure is Vander being turned into Warwick. There's this art here of Singed creating Warwick, and as you can see, it's near identical. It's likely we're going to see Warwick in Season 2, given that the announcement trailer included not only a wolf howl, but also his theme in the final moments, so we're probably going to be seeing Warwick reunite with Vi and Jinx as Caitlyn and Vi go to hunt Jinx in that second season. Our next theory is about two Noxians. Now, neither of them have appeared in Arcane, but one might have been mentioned, and the second one is tied into the first, but we'll get into the details. The first Noxian is Jericho Swain, the current leader of Noxus, at least in current day canon. Swain takes over Noxus after the Ionian War from the man who currently rules it, Boram Darkwill. Now, Boram Darkwill isn't mentioned in specificity in Arcane, but neither is the Ionian War, so it's unclear where Arcane fits in the timeline of Noxus. However, the one Noxian character that we do know, Mel Medarda, who sends her daughter Mel to Piltover to keep her safe, comes to Piltover after somebody murders Mel's brother. It's very likely that this person is Jericho Swain, and that murdering the children of a powerful war mistress and certain members of the ruling class of Noxus is his way of beginning to form the coup that will eventually result in his demon-wielding form being the one that leads Noxus. Again, it's not clear if we're going to see Swain in Season 2 or if it might just be more references, but Noxus is starting to play a part in Arcane, and Swain is one of the main Noxian characters. The second Noxian is Urgot. Urgot, before he's transformed into the strange spider monstrosity that we know in-game, was a Noxian headsman, and he was sent to Piltover to investigate a scheme against the current ruling class of Noxus. Now, it's very likely, given that this is before Swain took over, that he's investigating a threat against Boram Darkwill, but it's possible he could be investigating a threat against the Medarda clan. Now, when Urgot arrives to Piltover, he is ambushed and taken into the mines, and this ambush is set up by Swain and is a part of his attempt to get Urgot out of Noxus so he can more easily take over. Again, none of this is clear, but if Riot is seeding the groundwork for Swain, then Urgot will have to make his way to Piltover and be captured before Swain takes over, so we could be seeing that in Season 2. The third theory is about Singed and Orianna, and Singed seems to be involved with a lot of people's backstories, so we'll try to keep this brief. In a scene where Singed is operating on Jinx in Act 3, he mentions that he once had a daughter. And then, at the end of Act 3, in the 9th episode, during the same what could have been sequence, we see Singed holding that locket with a small girl's face in it. Now, there is a strange resemblance between the little girl in the locket and the League of Legends champion that we know as Orianna. But Orianna is a clockwork lady, at least in current League of Legends canon. But she wasn't always that way. Orianna was born in Piltover, to a father named Corin Ravec, who was a talented inventor and a maker of prosthetics as well as toys. When Orianna is a young adult, a mine collapses in Zaun, and she goes in to help Zaunite citizens. She ends up giving her oxygen mask to a small child, and the fumes from the mine cause Orianna permanent organ damage, so when she returns to Piltover, she becomes very sick and her father has to care for her. As Orianna's organs slowly die out, her father replaces her piece by piece with mechanical components until the only part of her that's remaining that is organic is her heart. Then, sadly, Corin Ravec, Orianna's father, develops a heart condition, and Orianna has to find him a heart. She barters with a Chem Baron for a Hextech heart, but ends up giving her father her own heart and becoming a fully mechanical being. Now, it's not clear what Singed's past is, and that's sort of part of his character. We do know he eventually goes on to create chemical weapons for the Ionian War, or may have done so already, but again, we don't know if the Ionian War has happened, so it's hard to say. But it is possible that Singed is Corin Ravec. The process of upgrading Orianna into a mechanical being is so incredibly expensive and possibly controversial that it ends up with Corin Ravec having to move to Zaun. And this would match up with where we see Singed when he first meets Victor. At the same time, the purple lizard that Singed's own, its name is Rio. Rio is an anagram of Ori, a short form used by many League of Legends fans to describe Orianna's name. At the same time, Singed first takes an interest in Victor when his clockwork boat rides down the river into Singed's lab. And the clockwork boat is similar in many ways to the geared technology that Orianna is shown to be constructed of. This would also put Singed into a category with Silco and Vander and Marcus as a father unwilling to give up his daughter no matter the cost. Again, this won't be confirmed until Season 2, but it's one of the stronger theories not only about Orianna's origin, but also about Singed, and would make him a more relatable and tragic figure. Our final theory concerns Mel Medarda, and this one's going to take a little bit more evidence than the others. Mel Medarda is a promising Piltover councilwoman who comes from the Noxian clan Medarda, the head of which is Ambessa Medarda, her mother. The first time we see Mel, it's during time spent under the banner of Noxus with her mother. Her mother teaches her how to deal with the leaders of those that they annex, but the important clue about Mel in this scene is her outfit. In this scene, Mel is wearing a gold, purple, and white dress. And on it, there is an identical pattern to ones that represent the Solari, the sun-worshipping people that Leona is a part of. Also in this scene, we see Mel's bare upper arm, which means that she doesn't have her distinct filigree golden armor that we see on her at later points. Once we see Mel later on, she does have this armor. Then, in the final scenes of Arcane, we can see Mel in a dress that is covering up parts of this golden armor, including dividing the sections around her neck into rings. However, in the moments before Jinx's rocket hits, we get a shot of Mel turning over her shoulder to hear or otherwise detect the rocket incoming. In this shot, Mel's dress is gone, and sections of the armor that we couldn't see before glisten with light from one side to the other. Right before the camera pulls back through the window, the rocket hits, and Arcane ends. My theory is that Mel's mother is a member or was previously associated with the Rakor or Solari people, and that when she sent her daughter to Piltover in order to keep her safe, she gave her this golden armor that's some kind of Solari ward to keep her safe. This would make sense as some way to protect her daughter when Ambessa couldn't be there. Then, when Jinx's super mega death rocket hits the council room, Mel's armor, or her Solari ward, detects it and goes off. I think that Studio Fortiche is setting the groundwork for Mel to save herself and possibly Jason Victor in Season 2. Now, we won't get any confirmations for any of this until Season 2 comes out, and that's 2023 at the absolute soonest. So in the meantime, keep an eye out for clues, stay tuned to win.gg, and have a lovely day.